everybody had a good summer, and obviously it's always an exciting part of the year for everybody as we get ready to get started with a new season and here, a month away. So before I get to some comments about our preseason camp and everything, I do want to take a minute and congratulate the three honorees, new inductees to our University of South Florida Hall of Fame, Athletics Hall of Fame. Paul Griffin, former longtime AD that was here for 15 years whenever they started the football program. Obviously, Quentin Flowers, outstanding quarterback in our history, and then Erica Berggren with the volleyball team. Those three will be honored. I believe it's the East Carolina weekend, and really looking forward to spending time with them, and a great way to recognize them for their accomplishments and all their hard work while here at USF. Also want to congratulate Steve Walls, our longtime athletic trainer. Steve's been here since they started the football program over 25 years ago. And just this summer, Steve was inducted into the Athletic Trainers Association of Florida Hall of Fame. And so, there's a lot of people kind of behind the scenes that do a lot of work and maybe don't get recognized because they're not out in front, maybe. But Steve's done an awesome job here, made a big impact, and we're very glad to have him helping us with our football program. I think for me, this is always the beginning of kind of that new season, new journey. Our coaches, we've had our kind of hideaway meetings over the last 10 days where we kind of get away and really just kind of look at everything for the season and really kind of plan out the entire year, our calendar, and go through everything in the program, our culture and how we're going to do things and how we're going to travel and just really everything from A to Z. We take about 4 days. We went over to the Marshall Center and got in one of those conference rooms and kind of away from the building, away from the cell phones, and had 4 good days to really dig into that, and felt really good about that. Our players last week just completed their 8th week of summer workouts, and really pleased with the feedback. A.J. Artis, our strength coach, and his staff have done an outstanding job working with our young men this summer. A.J. came over to the Marshall Center there during our hideaway, and him and the staff took about 2.5 hours and went through every single player, had a page of kind of what they've done this summer, where they've made the most growth, and maybe some areas they need to continue to work on. But the feedback overall was this was a challenging summer for our guys, which is good. We wanted to kind of turn it up a little bit. With our indoor construction, we were unable to use some of our practice fields, so we actually used the track and just kind of a different setting, and we're out there a little bit later maybe in the day, and so it was definitely a new level of maybe just overall grit and toughness to kind of part of the workouts, and I think the guys responded very well. I believe I talked a little bit after the winter workouts about something that we do with our players that our strength staff does called our grit scores. So every day during workouts this summer, again, we had 8 weeks, approximately 40 workouts. And after every workout, the strength staff would come back and they would give each player a grade from 0 to 4, where 4 is championship level effort, leadership, grit, everything that we want. 3 is a winner, 2 is average, 1 is below average, and 0 is 0. And those are scores that go out to the entire team every day. So you get to see where you are, you get to see where your teammates are, just an extra level of accountability and feedback for our guys. But really, I think the cool thing for me is whenever you take those averages from the entire summer, right? And I went over that for the winter. We had 7 weeks of winter workouts, and we kind of had that top 10. And so after 8 weeks of summer workouts, averaging up their grit scores every day for 40 workouts, these were the top 10 in order. Number 1, Brad Cecil, and he had an average score of 3.65, really strong. Number 2 was Gerry Bohanon, a new addition to our team. He got here right before summer began. He finished number 2 on the team. Trey Jacobs finished number 3. Byron Brown, freshman quarterback that got here in January, he finished number 4th. I was pretty impressive by a true freshman. Number 5 was Meach Harris. Number 6, Jatorian Hansford. Also, number 6 was Kelly Joyner. Number 8 was DJ Gordon. Number 9 was Will Jones. So it's great that's a good early sign, seeing him coming back from his knee injury. And then number 10 was Bayron Matos, coming over from basketball. That's pretty impressive. Bayron is huge, good-looking young man, has never played football before, but to be able to come straight over here and all of a sudden be in the top 10, and that's consistency day in and day out. And then the other thing I think is pretty impressive is there's 2 players that were in the top 10 of the grit score, out of 110 players in the spring, or in the winter workouts, which was January, February, and also top 10 in the summer. There was only 2 players that were top 10 in both, and that was Brad Cecil and Meach Harris, both offensive linemen, 2 of our best leaders on our team, and really, pleased with that. Yesterday we had our big weigh-in. That's always an exciting part, kind of to start off fall camp. And, again, our guys had 8 weeks there in the summer and saw some really good transformation. It's really, for most of the guys, we're trying to add good weight. And that's more of a challenge when you're in Florida and out there running, an hour and a half each day in the heat. But our guys did a really good job. Just kind of point out a couple highlights of some guys that made some really big jumps. Defensive end Tramel Logan. When Tramel got here, maybe 2 years ago, he was 211 pounds. And in May, before we started the summer, he was 237. And then yesterday, he weighed in at 249. So 12 pounds over the summer, and, really, whatever that is, close to 40 pounds since he's been here. So really impressive there. Jatorian Hansford, defensive end, he gained 10 pounds. He went from 255 to 265 there in those 8 weeks. Another transfer, defensive end, Jonathan Ross, went from 233 to 243, gaining 10 pounds. Amaris Brown, corner, gained 11 pounds, went from 186 to 197. And, these are good pounds, too. This isn't sitting on the couch eating potato chips and candy here. This is really, majority of this is muscle. Safety Matt Hill was able to gain 5 pounds, got up to 187. And 2 guys I'm really proud of from the receiver room. Xavier Weaver gained 10 pounds. I think he's at his heaviest now. He weighed in at 180. He's been below 170. He was at 170 to start the summer, 180 now. And then Jimmy Horn gained 10 pounds, going from 165 to 175. I think he probably played last year somewhere around 160. So good to see that. And then a couple of the guys that needed to lose some weight and really kind of tone down, Meach Harris went from 324 to 315, lost 9 pounds. And then the big one, Zach Perkins, a young man transferred to us from Maryland. And he was really heavy when he got here. And he was 342 at the beginning of the summer. And he weighed in at 315 yesterday. So, that's really impressive because, what you don't always think about, some of those guys were showing up extra at 6 a.m. every morning, part of the breakfast group, coming in, getting extra conditioning and all that. So, number one, want to commend them for their hard work, and there's plenty of other players. That was just some of the highlights. And also want to thank our Coach Artis, our strength staff, and Jordan Laufenberg, our nutritionist, and then also our administration. We really invested more resources in our nutrition for the summer, in the amount of food we were able to provide for our players, and then also the different nutritional supplements. That was a big emphasis, and I really saw that pay off at the big weigh-in. Just trying to catch up maybe on a couple roster things. Unfortunately, we had 3 players over the summer that had to retire from football due to some medical-related situations. You probably saw Vincent Davis smoke. Unfortunately, he had some things that were bothering him with his neck, and once they got in there and kind of looked into it, they made the determination that it was not going to be safe for him to continue playing football. Really tough blow for him because you watch him play. He's very passionate, hardworking. It's important to him. And but it's just one of these things that you got to look after his long-term health. And he's going to graduate this weekend, so really proud of him for that. And then he decided he wants to stay on and finish this season with his teammates, many guys that he's been here for 5 years. And so he's going to stay on as a student coach. And there's actually a lot of things he's allowed to do as a student coach that maybe some of our analysts cannot do. So we're excited to have him move into that role and make the best of a tough situation. Also, Kenny Scribner, who was our backup punter last year, was also our starting holder last year. He suffered a knee injury, and just kind of looking at that, kind of towards the end of his career, it was not going to be best for him to continue to playing. He's going to stay, and he's going to be involved. He's chosen to be involved with Jeremy Lees there in the equipment room, so you never know, that could lead to a new future for him. And then Zach Mendoza was a transfer offensive lineman that we signed late there in May out of Snow College in Utah, big 6'7" offensive tackle that we were really excited about. And when he got here, he got his physical, and part of the physical, you have to get an EKG to check your heart and make sure everything's in good rhythm there. And unfortunately, as they looked at the EKG, there was some things there they didn't like, and then they went on and did several more tests and found that what they look for when they're doing the EKG, that's what he had. So he's going to not be able to play football. And here he is. He's moved out, and he's married. Him and his wife moved thousands of miles from Utah here to Tampa to go play football, and then to get here and get that news that your football career is over, is really difficult. But we gave him a lot of different options. He's chosen that he wants to stay here, and he also is going to help us as a student coach for the next couple of years. So really tough news for him on that, but we're excited to have him stay with us as a student coach. We have added 3 new specialists to our team really in the last week, just because we had, with Kenny coming out, being out as a punter, and then also Matt Gresham, who was one of our long snappers last year, has decided to step away from football, and so he's not going to be back with us. So we added a kicker named Zach Sessa. He's from this area. I believe he played high school at Venice. Really talented young man with a very strong leg. Punter, Colin McCrary, that played both football and baseball at Monmouth. He's got 1 year left as a punter, and so glad to add him to our team. And then long snapper Connor Gordon from Illinois is joined us as well. So just really had some needs there to make sure that we have 3 deep at each of those positions. I think that's pretty much it from a roster standpoint. Overall, really pleased where our team is, just overall kind of mindset. It's kind of always interesting for me. This is my 20th year, going to my 20th year as a coach, and 16th year as a college coach. And, each year everybody's excited, but you can kind of tell during fall camp, and really, that meeting yesterday, the guys reported yesterday morning. You always have your administrative meetings where you bring a lot of the administration in to go over things they're going to need to know about for the season. And then that nightly meeting on report day is where the head coach gets a chance to really kind of lay out the vision and plan for the season and how we're going to attack it. And I can definitely tell from our meeting last night that our guys are focused. They're locked in. Those 12 super seniors that chose to come back, that it's very important to them and to the rest of our team that we do everything possible to have the most successful year that we can have. And really, the big focus is, win the day, right? And the way that you win the day is each of these meetings. I mean, we're going to have, hundreds of hours of meetings between now and the first game. And so just the attention to detail and improving the football knowledge and bringing on some of the younger guys that are going to be able to add some depth. And I think having that mindset of just kind of winning each meeting and winning each day, that's how ultimately you're going to win when the season gets here. So we still have some guys that are finishing up some summer exams today. So we'll go out tonight and do a kind of walk-through, jog-through on the field with the guys for about an hour. And then tomorrow morning will be our first full-speed practice of fall camp. And we'll get about 2.5 weeks before classes start on August the 22nd. And we'll get 25 practices total before our opener against BYU on the 3rd. Really the big message to our players, just like it was when we started spring, is, hey, we got a blank depth chart, right? I'm not going to hold up a sheet of paper this time so everybody can write their own messages for social media. My wife had fun in watching those. But I did present a blank sheet to our guys last night and saying, hey, here's the depth chart for the BYU game, right? And we got 25 practices to figure out what that's going to look like. Obviously, we got to have a depth chart for tonight as we go out there in our first workout. But the depth chart for the BYU game is up in the air at every single position. And just because you might have started last year and the year before, and maybe just because maybe you had some success last year, right, you got to do it over. You got to start over, and you got to prove that this year's team, this is a new team, that you're the best person to go out there with that first group. And so the big message is you got to earn it. I think that's something our guys have bought into. And then kind of maybe the last thing is just talk a little bit about the quarterback situation. I think obviously since maybe we met last, we brought in Gerry Bohanon from Baylor. And, really just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. The first thing I'll say is I firmly believe that we now have 2 quarterbacks on our roster that we can win with this fall. And I think that's different than the last 2 seasons. I think first year, I don't really know what was going on and in a COVID fog with everybody. Last year, we kind of were hopeful on a couple guys. But this year, I feel very confident that we have 2 quarterbacks that we can win with this season. Timmy, obviously last year was a true freshman, had a lot of big moments. He had some tough learning lessons too, as all freshman quarterbacks do when you're thrown out there. But really excited about his development. I thought he had a really good spring, and he's had an outstanding summer. I would say the thing I'm most pleased with Timmy is how he's responded this summer, really ever since Gerry's gotten here. And that's part of the deal. Anytime that you're bringing new guys in, I can promise you, Antonio Greer and Dwayne Boyles practiced a lot harder this spring when DJ Gordon showed up, right, from Minnesota. And that's what I'm used to. The programs, the program I came from, man, there's competition in that room. And if you don't show up each and every day, you're going to get passed by. And so I've been really pleased by the progress of Timmy this summer and just all the feedback that I've gotten from our team and from our strength staff. He's responded very well, just like I knew that he would. As far as us bringing Gerry in, honestly, we weren't looking. We weren't out there saying we definitely got to bring another quarterback in and we're definitely going to just find the best one we can. It was not that situation. It was more of a situation where, Trey got in the portal there for a little bit there in December and had some young freshmen coming in, and obviously with other guys leaving, you're sitting there saying, we got one guy right now that I feel like we can win with, and, it's hard to have one guy. So in this new environment of the transfer portal, there's opportunities late in spring to add the right pieces to your puzzle, and we've done that at every position, and quarterback's no different. So for us, kind of what Coach Trickett and I talked about was, if there's a guy out there that, number one, has experience, he has, just some football knowledge and football IQ, and just, a guy that's actually played and had success, at the highest level, that also has leadership abilities that maybe he could add something to that room, and then also someone that would fit our culture and our team. I didn't want somebody coming in here that was just going to be trying to box out the other guys in the room, because that's not really where we are right now as a program and not what I'm looking for. And so when Gerry got in the portal and we talked to the coaches at Baylor, we got very strong reviews about him as a person, as a leader, as a player. And we talked to him. He had some other very strong suitors that were after him, but we figured out pretty early on that he was very interested in South Florida and interested in coming down here and being a part of our team. And so we brought him down. He's done a great job since he's been here and done a good job this summer. It's been fun for me to see him and Timmy and Trey and the other quarterbacks working out all summer together, helping each other, watching video together, and just kind of seeing that whole group come together. I'm excited. And I think ultimately my job as the head coach is to make sure that we have enough talent, enough depth, and enough competition in every room, especially in the quarterback room, right, which is one of the most important parts of your team. And I think adding Gerry to that room has checked all of those boxes. I talked to Coach Trickett and then Coach Chad Morris, who just joined us, visited with them a little bit the last couple weeks, just trying to figure out how we're going to go through the process of finding a starting quarterback for BYU and for the season. And after talking to them a little bit, I called both Timmy and Gerry in last week to go over the plan with them. and pretty much, told them that what we're going to do is we're going to use the first half of fall camp and let those guys go out and compete. And, Timmy, when we go out today for the first practice this evening, Timmy will go with the ones all day today, and Gerry will go with the twos all day. And then tomorrow morning when we have the next practice, Gerry will go with the ones all practice, and Timmy would go with the twos all practice. And we'll alternate that, for whatever it is, the first 10 or 11 practices. And then whenever we have our first scrimmage on, I believe, Saturday, August 13th, we're going to be grading everything that they do, every throw that they make, and all their decision making. We're going to be watching them over those next, 10 or 11 days. How they're leading the offense, how the offense responds to them, all these things. And what our goal is, obviously things can change, but our goal is to make a decision after that first scrimmage there on August 13th, and to let those guys know that, let the team know that, go ahead and announce it to you guys and let our fans know. And the biggest thing about that is I want whoever wins the starting job to have 3 full weeks to be seen as the starter, by the offense, and to work with that first group of offensive players and offensive line and running backs and the mesh and all that, and for our team to know. That's the toughest thing sometimes in these quarterback battles is your team. There's a lot of kind of questions and who's going to be our quarterback and all that. And we kind of been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and now it's time to kind of move to that next level. And I believe, honestly believe we can't go wrong with either of these young men because of what they bring to the table. So that's our plan. And also told Brian, I want to let those guys, go ahead and talk to you guys before we get started to fall camp. And then we'll let those guys go and compete. And then the other message I gave them is, regardless whoever's named the starter for the BYU game, the other guy's got to be ready, right? And obviously injuries happen. Somebody goes out there, doesn't perform well, then the other guy gets to go in. I mean, you can look at Gary's season last year at Baylor. He was doing really well. Then he got injured. The other quarterback came in and helped him win the conference championship game. And go back and look at my first 2 seasons here. We haven't gone through one season with one guy all the way through. And so I think those guys, they're going to compete. They're going to make each other better. And in the end, it's going to make our team better. But I firmly believe that we can win with either of those young men. And then I'm hoping that Trey Marsh and Byron Brown continue to develop and come on to give us some more added depth. So with all that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Jeff, can you elaborate on why that's the timeline you have in mind for quarterback, just because it's different from what you decided the last couple?
Yeah, I think the first part of that is I feel more confident in these 2 guys than I felt in the past. There's a lot more question marks on, Timmy was just an unproven true freshman, just got here out of high school. Cade really hadn't played in a year and a half. So I think that's part of it, that I feel like we're much further along. And then the other part of it is I just think that, we got a veteran group of offensive linemen. We got a lot of pieces back on offense. And I just feel like the cohesion, the chemistry, and all that stuff, it takes time for that to develop. We're going to do the best we can. That's one reason that we're going to let whoever the starter is for that day go all day with the ones, as opposed to sometimes you would switch it period by period. But I think we're going to let those guys, so each of them will have about 5 or 6 days going with the ones leading up to that scrimmage. And then whoever wins it will get 3 full weeks. And then the other piece is, I'm looking for leadership out of that position. And that's difficult. Last year, Timmy being a true freshman, he's your first year trying to figure out what you do. You don't have a lot of time to coordinate and tell everybody else what to do. But, for us to take that next step, we've got to have that quarterback stand up and be able to lead our offense. And that takes time as well. And when you're going through a battle, it's a little bit more difficult for the guys to kind of step up and be the leader because you're still going through that phase. And so, number one, is because of my confidence in both of those guys. And number 2, it's the need, I feel like, for our team to have 3 weeks to know who our starter is and really to eliminate that distraction and move forward on the things that are really going to be a difference maker in that first game.
Coach, can you elaborate on what you're seeing from each of those 2 quarterbacks that makes it a tough decision for you when that time comes?
Yeah, well, number one, I would say what I started with, Timmy, I've seen maturity come from him in the offseason. Again, he got here last year, got thrown in the fire, and because he was the best that we had, and it was going to be a good experience for him, learning experience. But I think really having, going through one of those seasons, that next off season, it gets a little bit more serious. All of a sudden, you can start going to the next level as far as the details, learning the offense, ins and outs, protections. But I would say the biggest thing, just seeing the change in his, leadership, his work ethic this summer, his overall commitment. It's a full-time commitment to do what these guys have to do to take care of their bodies in the summer. So seeing that maturity out of him to go along with the talent that we know that he has and that we saw last year at times. And then with Gerry, I think you can see all you need to see as far as on the film. You can go watch anything from last year. He had a really good, season last year. And it's interesting because Baylor was a team that I used as an example to our team when we started the year in January. Baylor won 2 games. They went 2-7, I believe, in 2020. And then the next year, they went 12-2 and won the Big 12. I think they were picked 8th out of 10 in the Big 12 a year ago at this time and finished first. And so, and then also Gerry was a big part of that, being their starting quarterback for the majority of those games. And then also just talking to the coaches that coached him and his maybe football knowledge, football IQ, and then also watching him in the film room. He's like a coach on the field. And you guys will be able to see that very quickly when you have a chance to talk to both of these young men today.
Jeff, you mentioned DJ earlier and how he got the attention of a couple of your veteran players.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on what he brings to the table, not only on the field, but those intangibles?
Yeah, DJ is physically, he's a very strong young man. He's got a great mindset. He loves football, and he's definitely going to be right there in that mix with both Greer and Boyles. And I think it's going to be good for both Greer and Boyles because they've had to play a lot of plays because maybe we haven't had the depth that we needed in the past. And also, we're going from a 3 linebacker system to really a 2 linebacker system. And so it's going to allow, some of those guys. Also, Brian Norris is a guy that's really had an outstanding summer and doing well. But DJ's a talented player, has a big-time future. I think he's going to have a really strong impact on our team this year.
Obviously, quarterback's got to get somebody the ball, and I think one of the position battles that's kind of being overshadowed is this wide receiver, maybe 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Weaver had such a great year last year, but then you added Joe, Latrell Williams comes back, you've got Jimmy in the slot, OD. Where does that all kind of stand right now?
Yeah, I like that. It's a very deep room. Shoffrey Brown is a talented young man that was out a good bit in the spring with some injuries. And, one name maybe y'all haven't had on your radar that I think will get on your radar pretty quickly is Daquan Stanley. He was a corner for us last year as a true freshman. He played receiver and corner and returner in high school. We made that move in the spring, and he can really run. He'll remind you in some ways of Jimmy Horn as far as his long speed and change of direction, those type of things. Also OD. And then Sincere Brown had an outstanding summer. He ended up running the fastest time. However they do the GPS. He was over 23 miles an hour. And some of the guys were giving him a hard time that he put the thing on his the monitor on and then got on a scooter and rode over there to workouts or something. But he's had an outstanding summer and gained weight as well. So I feel very confident that we're going to have 3 deep at wideout, and that's taking time to really develop that room. Holden Willis is another guy that's come on and doing really good. Obviously, Sean Atkins, the guy we've talked about. So that's going to be a deep room. But, what I'm used to is rotating wideouts, and it helps you in the game, and then it helps you along the season. My best years there at Clemson, our best rooms, we were playing 8-9 guys a game. Obviously, the starters are going to get a little bit more than half of that. They're going to get about 60% of the snaps, 65-70% of the snaps, and then that last 30 to 35% gets split by the 2s and sometimes the 3s. So that'll be good. That group's worked extremely hard this summer, and I think overall our team speed at the wide receiver position has improved.
And then a quick follow-up on that. How has Latrell kind of looked? He's obviously chose to came back for, I think, the 7th year, and the ACL's kind of,
right.
Getting back to where he needs to be. What's he look like?
Yeah, he's attacked his rehab and all that really strong throughout the spring. He wanted to do more in the spring than we allowed him to do. He's one of those guys you got to kind of hold back because he's ready to get out there. So this fall camp will really be the first time that we've seen him full speed. He's been completely cleared to go out and do everything. But he's had a great mindset, and just like you said, I think this is his 7th year. So he's kind of been through the ringer, and would have been very easy for him last year to just say, hey, it just didn't work out and move on. But he's shown up kind of on purpose, with a purpose every day coming back. So looking forward to seeing how he looks. He's looked really good through the running and things we've done this summer, but this will be his first time with practice. The other guy I want to mention, and I'll get the other question, K1 Powell is another young man that we were really excited with the things we saw to him maybe for the first 2 weeks of fall camp last year as a true freshman. And then he had the patella tendon rupture, and it's been a year-long process for him. But he's coming back, and we're going to be working him into practice slowly. We've got a really deep running back room that I'm excited about. That'll allow us to kind of be a little bit more patient with K1 early in fall camp before we put him out there in all the live drills. But he's another guy that's come back from his injury very well.
Coach, everybody starts the season looking to go 12-0. What's a realistic goal here?
Yeah, how you want me to answer that, right? Here's what I would say. It's what I told our players, right? We went through every game, and it's the only night that you do that, right? You go through every game and kind of look at it and map it all out. Number one, we got a very challenging schedule. I think we're maybe one of only 2 teams that play the 4 teams that are, moving on to the Big 12 next year. So with challenges come opportunities, and that's really, what our message is these seniors, many of these seniors were recruited here coming off of a 10-win or 11-win season, right, back in 2017 and 18. And so one of the reasons they chose to come back is they didn't want to leave where the program was at the end of last season. So it's very important. And whatever our best looks like, we won't know. I think it's harder to predict. Coaches really don't get in the prediction game anyways because we're kind of just locked in on what's coming tomorrow and what we're doing today, what's coming tomorrow. But I think with the influx of roster management just changing, you don't really know what anybody has until about week 3 or 4. The other teams, BYU brought a very talented transfer offensive tackle from Oregon. It's going to be a really good player. They brought in a great running back. So you really don't know what everybody else has. You really don't know what you have until you get out there. But I think for us, our message is, right, we want to do everything we can to play our best and have the very best season. And there's a lot of what does that look like, right? There's kind of some minimums, and then there's some high goals of what that looks like. And really that's going to be determined. But I showed them again last night. Baylor started off ranked 3rd from last in the conference last year and ended up 1st in the conference at the end of the year. So it's possible. Look at Michigan last year, 2 years ago, won 2 games. And then last year, they won the Big Ten. I'm not predicting that going out. I'm just saying that anything's possible in a new year. And you go back to a lot of our games outside of 1 or 2, we were right there. And we kind of revisited some of those, tough situations from last year just to know, hey, it's a game of inches, and there's a couple plays that we did not finish. And we're not going to finish them this year just because we want to whenever we get in the situation again. We're going to finish them by how we approach the next, 30 days and the mindset, the leadership, and all those things. But overall, I feel very confident in our coaching staff. Coach Shoup and Coach Trickett have been great additions. I think our players would tell you that. They've done an outstanding job with our guys. We've been able to do a little bit more with our guys in the summer than in the past because of some of the rule changes where we could go out in the field with the guys and balls, which was new. And then overall, we got a deeper room and deeper roster than we've had at any point since I've been here. And then also, you got those scars. And I think I've said before, and I've talked to the guys a little bit, sometimes you have to go through it before you can get to it, right? I just kind of shared some of my previous examples, right? Us as coaches, we just kind of lean on our past and memories and learning lessons. And, I can remember at Clemson, Coach Sweeney's first year as a head coach. 2009, we're playing in the ACC championship right here in Tampa. First time Clemson's playing for an ACC championship in about 20 years, right? And we lost to Georgia Tech. They had the ball last. Neither team punted in that game. No punts, right? And I remember after that game, and we were dejected. This is our chance to win an ACC, or are we ever going to get back? 2 years later, we get back to the ACC championship, many of those same players that were on that team, and all of a sudden, we finished, right? We beat Virginia Tech, won the ACC for the first time in 20-something years, right? And then you go the next year to the Orange Bowl, 2012, all fired up. That was before the college football playoff. BCS, Orange Bowl for the ACC. Clemson hadn't been to the Orange Bowl in 20 years. We're so fired up. We're so excited as coaches, we took the team down there 4 days early and realized that was not a good plan to be there for 9 days. But we got embarrassed, right, by West Virginia, 70-33, right? Just absolutely one of the most, I mean, that's a hard locker room. That hurts, right? But you know what? 2 years later, we showed back up at the Orange Bowl with really the same team, right? And we beat an excellent Ohio State team, right? And then a year later, 2 years later, we go to the national championship. This is what we've been building for the entire time under Coach Sweeney, that we're kind of building these blocks and working our way there. We're out there in Phoenix. We're playing Alabama, back and forth, you know, and Bama wins. And there's that feeling after the game, is this going to be the last time we ever had a chance to win a national championship at Clemson, right? You go through that off season, right? It's a little bit more focus, a little bit more determination. The next year we get back, right? Right here in Tampa, right? And what happens at the end of the game? Bama goes and scores just like they did the year before. And there's 2 minutes and 9 seconds on the clock, and it's like, oh no, here we go again, right? But that grit, that determination, when Deshaun and that offense went out there and had to go, whatever it was, 79 yards maybe in 2 minutes and 9 seconds, in the back of their mind, they remembered the year before, right? And so that for me is kind of what I feel with this team, is some of the adversity and the tough things that these guys have been through. Man, they take that with them to propel them to make sure that each and every day they're attacking the day the right way, because we're going to get back to those same situations, right? And now we got to be able to finish them. And that's really what this season is all about, is finishing those close games, those opportunities. Because what I believe is, once you have that kind of breakthrough moment, and then all of a sudden the confidence, the energy, and everything, you know, take off. And when you have some difficult moments, man, it's hard. It kind of carries over. And I've seen that. This is that season for that to turn for us, and then it kind of carries that momentum out. So that's just kind of giving you a little bit of overall kind of mindset of really where this team's been since January, but really where we are as we kind of get ready for the season.
Jeff, your father's retired now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was here by your side
Yeah.
2 seasons.
Right.
Including the difficult COVID first
Sure.
season you had. Did you consider bringing in a veteran voice? I know you've coached Shoop, obviously a wealth of experience, you know, maybe
Right.
serve in a similar capacity.
Yeah, I did, and I failed to maybe mention that in my opening comments, but we brought Chad Morris in maybe last month. So Coach Morris, I've known Coach Morris for a good while. He came to Clemson in January, I believe, of 2010, and we were just finishing Coach Sweeney's second year at Clemson. We went 6-7, just lost to South Florida in the bowl game. A lot of questions. We hadn't played very well offensively in Coach Sweeney's first 2 years there. I brought Chad Morris over from Tulsa, where he was the OC for 1 season, and then we won 10 games the next season. And Coach Morris was our OC for 4 years. And I tell people all the time what I learned about wide receiver play and how to be a wide receiver coach and develop receivers, I learned from Coach Sweeney, and obviously a lot of things as far as being a head coach. But really what I learned about our offense and what we're doing, I learned from Coach Morris over those 4 years when he was our offensive coordinator. And then when he left in December of 14, I believe, to go to SMU to be the head coach, that's what gave Tony and I an opportunity to move up and run the offense for the next 5 years, the same offense that we had there with Coach Morris. And then during those years, I was talking to Coach Morris probably once a week whenever he was at SMU. Throughout that, you know, it's a very similar situation to kind of what I took over here, you know, 2.5 years ago. SMU had won 0 games maybe the year before he got there. His first year they won 1. The next year I believe they won 5. And his last year they won 7. And so really I think his experience not only as being a head coach, you know, at both SMU and then his experience there at Arkansas, but also in this league and, you know, how to kind of navigate through this league, what it looks like. And then, you know, you take a guy like Travis Trickett, and Coach Trickett would tell you for many years, Coach Trickett was studying Coach Morris's offense. Whenever he was at Clemson, whenever he even started when he was at Tulsa, then when he was at Clemson, then when he was at SMU. And so now to have Coach Morris here is kind of an asset. It kind of is a dual purpose. It helps me kind of fill that role of kind of chief of staff and someone for me to kind of bounce some ideas and thoughts on. He's already been great for me here in the 2 weeks that he's been here, but also being a resource for Coach Trickett and the offensive staff on because it's really the same offense that Coach Morris has been running for many years. So he's kind of that person I can bounce things off of, and we're glad to have him here. I tried to get him really for about the last year and a half, and finally able to get it done this year. So we're excited to have him here, and I know he'll be an asset for us.
Yeah, two quick facilities things. Do you have a timeline on when you guys are gonna be able to start using the IPF?
Okay, sometime this fall is what I know. I think they're getting ready to start putting the turf in, and it's fluid, obviously, because a lot of it deals with supplies and things that are coming in. My guess is probably somewhere around the middle of the season. I'm hoping kind of by that open week in the middle of the season that we'll be able to get in there. But it looks nice. I walked in the other day. It's going to be incredible.
And my other question, have you looked at all at the proposals for the on-campus stadium, or is that way above your pay grade?
Well, the decisions is way above my pay grade. Yes, I definitely have looked. And Michael Kelly, our athletic director, and Jay Stroman, who's helping with a big part of that as our head of the foundation. They keep me in the loop on what's going on and kind of where we are. And obviously I got to be a little protected in what I can say just because there's steps that everybody has to follow and when you're doing a project like that. But the big thing I want our fans to know is it's going to happen. They're not trying to see if it can happen or if we can make it happen and how much money do we need to go. It's going to happen. They've already got a plan for that. But there's a process in place. I think right now they're kind of going through the bidding process for who's the architect firm that's really going to do the detailed drawings and all that, and then it'll move down. But I'm expecting sometime by the end of this year, 1st of January, I imagine there'll be a lot more announcements on. I don't know if they'll have pictures and all that by then, but I'm very excited about everything that I've seen and heard. But the biggest thing is it's not whether it's going to happen or not. It's going to happen, and they're working extremely hard to see if we can be on a timeline to have it for fall of 26. So that's exciting.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate it. Yep, thanks.
All right, we'll get started with sophomore quarterback Timmy McClain. Mr. Timmy. Year two, how's it feel?
Feels great. Year two, sophomore year, feels awesome. Feels real good. Feels great.
One thing Coach just mentioned that you're coming into determining who the starter is showing leadership. Do you feel like you're ready to be a greater leader?
Yeah, all that comes in with just me just being confident in myself. I feel like I've gained confidence in myself with just knowing the guys and just being myself really. So that leadership just comes in, it just came in just naturally. So.
What was your reaction when they found out they were bringing in not just another quarterback, but a guy who's played at a high level with a lot of experience?
Everywhere you go is competition, So, just another day, No, I just thought it was just competition. We need competition in the quarterback room, and it's just gonna make me better. It's gonna make him better. It's gonna make the team better. So whatever can make the team better, then that's all that really matters.
How has it already made you better at that competition in Bohanon's presence?
I done took it upon myself to just know the game more, just watch film, just try to be ahead and just try to stay ahead, and yeah.
Brendan, Florida, you're not ducking anybody, are you?
Oh no, sir, no, sir.
What is the difference between you, the start of fall camp this year, and the start of fall camp last year as far as playing in the leader?
As far as the player last year, I was I wasn't the starter last year. I was kind of sort of the backup, and I just kind of, got into the groove of, playing, got real comfortable in the system that we was in last year. This year I feel like, I've been in the system for a while, and, I feel real confident about my play and about the team's play, so.
When you're not playing with the ones, and then all of a sudden you gotta go in, how long does it take to get used to the nuances of your receivers?
I work out with receivers, daily throughout the off season, so it's not really big of a change like that. Me and Jimmy have a good relationship. Yui, Zay, obviously, OD, Amari Dollison. So, those guys, there's not really much of a change, really, in that aspect of it.
When you look at the offensive weapons that you guys have, I mean, obviously wide receivers just everywhere you look, running backs everywhere you look. How much, optimism does that give you for, just being able to put up points this year?
A lot. We got those guys. We got running backs. We got some new tight ends. We got, one thing that really stands out that a lot of people don't know is that our offensive line. We got, all those guys are coming back from last year. So, that's what's going to really put up the points is those big guys up front and just me having the time. We got good backs too. We got to mention them. We got Maine, Kelly, Batty. So those guys just running the ball behind those big guys. Starts with them. So.
Littrell is coming back, for his 7th year of college football. Been around, for forever. Just kind of had some tough luck here and there. Just, how good is it to see him kind of start being back and running again and doing everything?
It's just more speed, really. When you got, Jimmy Horn, we got Chaufrey and Zay, that's kind of just more speed in the back, just more speed at the receiver position.
They mentioned Daquan Stanley's speed, but could you expound upon that?
Oh yeah, Daquan Stanley's speed is he's pretty fast. He like Jimmy. He's like Jimmy, but he's the same type of player as Jimmy. So then we had those two together. It's kind of a little bit of DeAnthony Thomas and Tavon Austin back there. So.
New offensive coordinator, can we assume you're still gonna go no huddle and play fast?
Oh yeah, nothing's changed really as far as that. We still gonna be no huddle. Still gonna play fast. That's all. We're one speed, so that's still gonna happen.
How is your mindset, if it is any different with kind of heading into this quarterback competition compared to a year ago?
It's just a clear mindset, and like I said, it's just confidence. Just gotta have confidence in myself. Can't lose that confidence, and that's really it. Just gotta be confident in myself.
Timmy?
Thanks, Timmy.
Thank you.
We're gonna go next with, senior defensive lineman Rashawn Yates. Gerry just went down the hall for a second, he'll be right back. Any questions for Rashawn?
I know you expect the heat in Florida, but this has been oppressive. Are you getting ready for just 95 degrees and ridiculous humidity?
Yeah, we're used to it though. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we're built for it. So we're gonna do it in practice. So pretty much on Saturday it's gonna be easy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else won't be used to it, but we will.
They get 21 new faces coming in this year to the team. Can you talk about how everybody's gelled since spring practice through the summer and right till today?
I've actually been surprised on how good we've got along. You know what I'm saying? Especially with people coming in. I said it before last time I talked to you guys when we had COVID. I wasn't really able to know any of the freshmen. It took me a whole year to get everybody to know each other, but I don't know why it's different now, but everybody coming in is kind of seemed like the freshmen and everybody's acting like we've been together for a long time. It's strange, but I like it.
For the new defensive coordinator, what has changed for you?
I feel like personally for the past 2 years, we've mainly been a 3-man defense, and now we're back in a attack defense, kind of like when I first got here. So now it's just, you know what I'm saying, pretty much in my DNA to attack anyway, so it feels good to be able to just go, and I don't have to read anymore. So that's a good thing.
Way to run on the way to the quarterback.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, you know, when you came to USF, you were kind of sitting at 260 pounds. We talked so much about bulking up and all that. I saw you weighed in at 282.
Yeah.
You know, just how have you felt about your transition and just your body and growing into it, you know, over your 4 or 5 years?
No, I definitely felt better. When I was 260, I felt like I needed to put more weight on, especially going against guys who were 330 pounds. I need that weight on me. So, yeah, I felt good. You know what I'm saying? Plus, it feels good on me. It doesn't feel like I'm too heavy. I feel I can run with it well, probably better than what I ran with 260. So, I definitely feel good. I knew I could put more muscle on my frame, so I'm happy I did that.
And Tramel's another one that's really
Yeah,
put on a lot of good weight, too. Just how excited are you to see them this year?
A good. I'm excited. I've been training with him for a while now. Me and him just been training together for the past like 3-4 weeks, and I've seen him put on that weight. I knew it was important to him to put on that weight, and he said he was going to do it. So I'm proud of him for taking that step. And I think this is gonna be his breakout year.
Questions for Rashawn?
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for showing up.
All right, junior quarterback Gerry Bohanon. Questions for Gerry?
I'll ask you a question everybody wants to know. Why South Florida?
For me, South Florida felt like home. I enjoy everything with the staff. I enjoy the work ethic, the fathers they are, the God-fearing men they are. And honestly, for me, it was just about getting the opportunity and feeling at home. So, like, during my visit, like, I love how hard they work, the football aspect, the amount of film, the development, the culture. Just a lot of different things went into it, but for me, it just felt like the right place.
How's your time been here so far overall, not just at USF, but in Tampa? Obviously, you've had to make a transition.
I would say it's been amazing. I mean, from the football aspect, it's been amazing. Just getting around Tampa, spending time at the beach, trying to restaurants, eating seafood. I mean, it's not a bad place to be, you know.
How did USF get on your radar in the first place?
So when I got in the portal, it's kind of just like a few different schools hit me up, and then I had a coach that coached me. He was a strength coach at Baylor at a point, and that was like the thing. He kind of connected us. And then from that point, I ended up getting on the Zoom call and everything with the coaches, and kind of went from there. Just a relationship developed. Decided to come on the visit, and everything was beyond better than what I thought it would be. That's really pretty much it.
Well, what are your expectations for how you kind of fit into this?
My expectation would be just to honestly come in, fill in whatever role I can be to help the team, bring my standards, my culture, apply it to the team, try to push everybody around me, compete with everybody around me, and bring the best out of everybody, bring the best out of the coaches, challenging those guys the way they challenge us even harder, and just doing whatever to have a good season this season.
And to that extent, can you talk about the relationship you have with Timmy and others in the quarterback room?
I will honestly say this quarterback room is probably one of the, really like one of the closest, I'm sure, in the country. We compete at everything we do. Like, if we're talking football, we're competing about it. We're in the weight room, we're competing about it. Like, whatever it is, we're just looking for a way to compete. And I would say we're honestly look at each other as brothers and want to see each other succeed at whatever it may be. So I could just say we just push each other each and every day, try to bring the best out of each other and love on each other at the same time.
In the starting position on the line, what do you have to do personally to make sure that you get that start at the
Just come in and be the best version of myself every day. Just come in, work, and do what I do every day, just be myself.
Your head coach had a chance to be at Clemson with maybe two of the greatest college quarterbacks every day. Did that happen to come into your decision to come here?
I mean, honestly, it depends on the type of player you are. You're going to do your research. For me, I did my research. That answers it right there. I did my research.
What do you do best?
I wouldn't put a ceiling on myself. I'm a guy that's going to find my weaknesses and work on them. And so I wouldn't say there's anything I do best. So I feel like I can do everything. I mean, as long as you work at it, I feel like there's nothing you can do. You just got to put the work into it.
One of your best games last year was against West Virginia, where Coach Trickett was, because he kind of brought that up with you and talked to you about that game and
During my visit, we discussed it a little bit. I would say that. We discussed it a little bit. I mean, we're on the same team now, so it don't matter.
When you walk into the huddle for the first time at fall practice, have you thought about what you're going to say to the other 10 guys in that huddle?
Yeah, I actually have. I really have. I'm excited about it. I would say, team meeting yesterday, getting ready for the start of camp, I honestly got the chills in there just being with the guys. I mean, I get the chills every day. For me, this is like my element. Been around the guys, been out there with those guys, and just all the hard times we go through during training. I mean, that's what those times are built for. I mean, that's what we make ourselves. And so, when I first walk into the huddle, I know the first thing I'm gonna do is smile. So, I mean, guys gonna feel my energy, and I'm gonna feel theirs, and it's gonna roll.
You talk so much in the offseason about how, for an offensive coordinator that was going to come in and take over the offense, there were so many offensive weapons that you could choose from. For you as a quarterback, you've kind of got the same thing, a wide receiver room that's really stocked, running back room that's really stocked. Just, an offensive line that returns, just how good is that to be able to have so many weapons across the board?
As a quarterback, that's like a safety net. All you got to do is give those guys the opportunity. Put the ball near them, put the ball in their hands. It's on them to make the plays, and there's no doubt we have plenty of playmakers. I have a list of guys that can make plays for us. So for me, it's just like a relief, like a breath of fresh air, you know what I'm saying? Just to be able to be out there with guys that you know are very talented, guys that are going to push you, going to make you bring the best out yourself, and know that they're going to listen to you, they're going to work with you, they're going to compete with you, and we're going to have fun while doing it.
The first thing you're going to do in the huddle is smile.
Yeah, I'm going to smile.
Why?
I feel like as a quarterback, when you see, as a quarterback and when the guys see like that poise, that calmness, that smile, that happiness, that enjoyment, that you like excited to be there, like you're enjoying the moment, I feel like it's like a sense of relief. It's like, it's football, we do this every day. And like, let's have fun while doing it. So that's what my smile means.
I want to ask about that grit ranking. Did you come in and just do what you normally do, or did you come in and I got to show up, I got to push myself even harder than I normally do in the weight room and stuff like that?
Honestly, that was me just being me every day. Like, whether I'm outside playing soccer, I've never played soccer before, but that's just who I am. That's what I stand for. That's what I believe in. Like, put your best foot forward at everything you do, no matter what it is.
No huddle, up tempo. Is that your kind of game?
All games my kind of game.
You're going to get BYU first game, a team that you beat last year, in Waco. Just kind of, are you kind of licking your chops to get another opportunity of those guys?
I'm excited about the opportunity. I mean, it's one that's definitely circled on the schedule. It's the first game for one reason that it's circled. And just the opportunity to play those guys. They have a good football team, good coaching staff, good coaches there. So just to get the opportunity to compete with those guys, it's exciting.
Anything else for Gerry? Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Number one in the grid scores, senior center Brad Cecil.
What's up, everybody? How are y'all? How y'all doing?
Do you plan to stay in college till your kid gets here, or what's the story?
I know,
How
yeah.
many years now?
I'm not that old, I promise. This will be my fifth season. I know it feels like forever. I'm losing my hair, and the hair that I do have is gray, so. It's for my teammates, unfinished business, and for my teammates. You know, I came here not only for individual goals, you know, to make the league and, you know, do things that I want to do, but also, you know, I want to win a championship here. And I'm not just saying that just because it's, you know, Coach Scott talk or anything. Like, I want to win a championship. That's what we all came to do when we signed here. And I think, you know, looking at the room that was coming back as a whole, the whole team, you know, we have a lot of talent coming back. The culture's changing, and it's fun just being in the locker room every single day. And that's what really drew me to came back because, you know, of course, yeah, I could have left, but, you know, this team is, and winning a conference is the most important thing to me right now.
Brad, well, your new teammates who just left the podium, Gerry, what are your impressions of him and getting along with him so far?
He's awesome. He's done a great job stepping up and leading and really taking the culture that we've kind of created around here and, you know, gelling into it and bringing what he learned from Baylor and his past experiences into here and teaching us as well. So it's been, it's gone hand in hand for both of us. But, you know, overall, he's a great guy, great football player, great guy, brings a lot to the table, great locker room guy, just a fun guy to be around, all in all.
What are you looking forward to most this preseason camp?
There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to. Definitely spending time with my teammates on the field and off the field. One of the things that my favorite thing in college football is the locker room. You know, as much as I love games and as much as I love, you know, everything about it, the locker room is my favorite place to be. You know, being with my teammates, playing ping pong, playing pool, playing Madden, even though I'm terrible. Just doing anything, you know, hanging out with the guys is always a great time. So that's definitely what I'm looking forward to most because, as Coach Scott said, we have unlimited time during fall camp. So we'll be here a lot. So.
What do you see from this team that makes them strong this year?
Definitely, I would definitely say that guys have really learned to embrace going through hard times, whether it be, you know, going through an injury or going through a hard workout or going through something hard, you know, in their life. Everybody's learning to embrace that and not think, you know, not have the woe is me mentality. You know, everyone attacks the day. Everyone, you know, comes in no matter how they're feeling, whether they're sore or, you know, they don't feel like working out, they come in ready to work every single day because their teammates are counting on them and vice versa. So it's a different mentality than I've seen here before, and it's definitely the right mentality that we want to have.
I asked Greer this at the AAC Media Day. Has it started to hit you yet? I mean, this is it. Like, no more COVID years. This is the last ride.
Yep.
Has it hit you yet?
It definitely has. It's definitely been in the back of my mind. It's definitely something I've thought about, but Coach Scott actually brought us up to the front of the team meeting room last night during like our first official team meeting. And, you know, I was looking out in front of the guys, and he just mentioned that we have 4 months left, 4, 5 potential months left. And that's when it really hit me. You know, I knew in the back of my head, I was like, oh, you know, I'll be here till January. But then when he said it, and I'm standing there looking at my teammates looking back at me, that's when it really hit me. Like, wow, like I really remember being in those seats. What feels like, you know, a year ago, but it's really like 15 years ago.
I have to ask you a really important question. Is the feedback still on for the old line at Mission Barbecue?
I don't know the details I can get into it, but I can promise you this, we will be eating good.
What, you know, I've obviously been limited in what you can see with from Bohanon, Bohanon and stuff, but what do you like about his game? What does he do well?
You know, he brings different things to the table. You know, each quarterback in the room has, you know, a different skill set and different attributes that they bring to the table. You know, but he's a you know, all-around player. I think he has a great physical attributes, but I think that the thing that most impresses me is his, you know, intangibles. You know, the way he leads, the way he conducts himself, the way he carries himself in the weight room, outside of the weight room. You know, just in the hallways. You know, if he's the type of guy, if he sees a piece of trash, he'll pick it up. You know, if he sees a player that's down in the locker room, he'll go talk to him. That's just the type of person he is. So that's really the thing that struck me the most about Gerry coming in is, you know, he just came in and he really, like I said earlier, he adapted to the culture and, you know, really, you know, gelled well with us.
As a center, Timmy's left-handed, Gerry's right-handed. Does that affect anything for you with the snap?
No, I don't think it affects anything with me in the snap. I think the biggest thing it would affect is the tackles, you know, just knowing which side's the blind side. But for me, you know, I'm really comfortable with whatever quarterback's back there. Every practice I get at least 20 snaps with every quarterback, whether it be pre-practice or post-practice, just for any situation that could arise. I mean, you've seen in, you know, previous years, there's been, you know, a bunch of different quarterbacks that have played due to injuries and, you know, other reasons. So, you know, I'm really comfortable with any quarterback that's back there, whether they're right-handed, left-handed, if they kick the ball, I'm good.
You make the line calls?
Yeah, so I'll make the line calls. I usually,
You need to know who's left-handed or right-handed back there on the weak side, correct?
yeah, I mean, they'll typically know because we'll come out of the huddle, and we'll see who's in at quarterback. But yeah, I do make line calls, so the call will come in from the quarterback, and then, you know, I'll tell the line, you know, what we need to do, and, you know, if I don't like something, if I don't like a certain scheme that we're blocking, I can change it, and I can flip protections, and based on what I see, and that's something that we practice with the quarterbacks and the coaches as well. They do a good job of making sure we're ready. I'm ready to do stuff like that.
You guys added, you know, some significant offensive line depth this offseason. You know, Mike Lofton, Zach Perkins, you know, Bailey Jr. I know is on the shelf if I remember correctly. You know, for y'all, you know, offensive line now, you know, you don't necessarily have to play every single snap like you guys have in years past. Maybe rotate guys in and out. You know, first of all, just kind of what have you seen from some of those newcomers, and second of all, just how good they got to be to actually have some legit depth now.
Yeah, I mean, all three guys that were brought in, we hit on all three of them. Zach Perkins, Terrell Bailey, Mike Lofton, you know, they were great additions to the room. They have a lot of talent, and, you know, we're extremely lucky to have them. You know, I saw it in winter conditioning. I saw it in the spring when we were actually playing football, and I saw it again in the summer. You know, all those guys work their tails off every single day. And similar to the quarterback situation, they all have different skill sets, different attributes, but they're all so unique, and they're all extremely talented in what they do. And going back to the depth thing, I mean, that's super important. You know, it's tough being an O-lineman playing, you know, 90 snaps a game potentially every single game. So if you can get guys that can come in and, you know, take 20 off of you in the second quarter, that'll make you play that much better in the fourth quarter. And, you know, competition brings out the best in everyone. So I think that in our room specifically, you know, you got 4 guards that can play and can get it done. You know, that raises the level of every guard in the room because they know that, you know, if I'm not on my stuff, you know, someone else could potentially take my reps. So, you know, I think it's friendly competition though, and there's definitely no bad blood in the room, but it definitely brings out the best in everyone. So I think that all three of them were great additions to the room, and you know, I'm extremely excited to see what they do this season.
And it's especially got to be good for down the line and development once you guys leave. Just, you know, even if those guys don't get a whole lot of playing time, just, you know, how important is this year for not only them, but guys, you know, this program signed traditionally from high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's extremely important. You know, it's good for one thing that Coach Mo has, you know, really harped on for us, older guys, is, you know, just bring them along with us. You know, show them the ropes, kind of, you know, make sure that they know what they're doing because it's bigger than football. It's how you lead in the off season because, you know, you're playing for 5 months, but then the other 7, you know, you're training, and you have to have guys that can lead during those 7 months. So it's definitely important that those guys are here and learning the ropes, but they're making strides every day, and I know that, you know, once some of the older guys are gone, that they'll have no problem picking up where we left off.
Cincinnati going to the college football playoff.
Mhm.
The back of your mind, you gotta be thinking, hey, they respect our conference. We win out. People are gonna think we're a really good football team. Is that what goes through?
Definitely. You know, we see that they can do it, and we know that we can do it. You know, when you look at that game, we were close. And there were times where, you know, if, you know, we would have executed a little bit better or the ball would have bounced the right way one more time, then that game could end up differently. And I think that it's something that we definitely keep in the back of our mind because, you know, our goals they're not some far off goals that aren't attainable. It's definitely within reach. You know, we have the same talent, if not better than every team in our conference. And I truly believe that, and everyone on our team believes that. And it's definitely in the back of our heads, you know, knowing that if we play to the level that we know we can play and we execute to the level we know we can, you know, we'll have the same success.
Give it a time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Anything else for Brad? All right, that concludes our media day. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Brad.
Thank you.